What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on EI Entertainment Studios. Back at it with another debate episode. Today's debate episode, we're going to be talking about Mechagodzilla 2018, which is the Ready Player One Mechagodzilla versus Mechani Kong. So here's the plan, folks. We're going to go over the backstories, characteristics, abilities. Basically, once we finish going over the analysis of every single character, we're gonna put them up against each other in a death battle. But let's focus on the analyzation first, and then we'll go on to the death battle. I'll go way more into detail once we get there. So let's begin with Mechagodzilla 2018 first, which I said is the Ready Player One Mechagodzilla. So Mechagodzilla 2018 is a robot Godzilla that basically originates in a virtual world of Ready Player One. And as I said, the origins are the game in Ready Player One. Now, the height of Mechagodzilla 2018 is approximately 30 meters tall. Now, with that being said, the abilities, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna quickly skim over them for now. We're gonna go over everything else, and before we move on, we'll come back to the abilities and do a deep analysis of every single ability. But for now, I'm doing a quick skim. So, one by one, first we have the blue ray, then the physical combat, and finally, finger missiles. Now, territorial level is maximum, aggression level is maximum. Biome, this is interesting. The biome for Mechagodzilla 2018 is obviously a virtual game, as he is from Ready Player One. However, for this debate to work, from my own perspective, I have modified Mechagodzilla's biome to fit all land biomes on Earth for this debate video, so he can come out of the game and fight. But if we were going to go originally, his biome is a virtual game. But as I said, I will be modifying it to all land biomes of Earth, so he'll come out of the virtual game into real life. Okay. So let's go back to the abilities and let's do a deep analysis, one by one. So first we have the blue ray. Basically, this is like the atomic breath of Godzilla. Now, when you watch Ready Player One, you'll notice his ray is more towards the real Godzilla than a actual Mechagodzilla, and that's why I call it the blue ray. And it's basically like a beam. You could call it like a regular Godzilla beam, but more focused towards a ray. And it definitely does damage, but obviously not as strong as Kiryu or even an actual Godzilla, but definitely does damage. Now, after that, he possesses very, very good physical combat skills, as we saw in the film. He is able to tail whip, attack, kick, punch, basically everything. He can counterattack and predict moves based off of artificial intelligence learning from his body, as he is a robot. And usually bosses in video games tend to adapt the way you play. And basically that's what this is. So in terms of physical combat, A+, very good physical combat abilities. Now finally he has finger missiles. Tips of his fingers, he has missiles that shoot just like a normal Mechagodzilla would have. And I wouldn't say they're the most powerful ability he has. Definitely does some damage, but I would definitely say the blue ray does more damage, personally in my opinion, than the finger missiles. But definitely has missiles nonetheless. And even though usually if you watch my debate videos constantly, you'll notice usually most of my kaijus have many more abilities. Obviously, this is not a custom kaiju, this is an actual kaiju from a real film, and therefore I'm not going to add anything or take anything away. This is the exact amount of abilities that he has, and therefore that's it for this specific kaiju. Now, let's move on to Mechani Kong. So, Mechani Kong was created by Doctor Who in order to mine the radioactive element X. Very simple backstory, that's all we need to know. The height of Mechani Kong is approximately 20 meters tall. So he's 10 meters shorter than Mechagodzilla 2018. Now, abilities, same thing. We're gonna skim over them really quickly, finish them off, and then we'll come back to it. So, quick skim goes as follows: Hypnosis light from head, waste grenades, strength of pure steel, laser beam eyes. Now, territorial level is none, aggression level is indeed maximum, and biome is earth. So, let's go back to the abilities and let's see what's up. First we have Hypnosis light from head. So yes, Mechani Kong gives out a beam of light from his head which hypnotizes his opponents. And even though we don't know how this would work on a robot, it definitely worked on the actual Kong. So I'm going to assume that the way the hypnosis works doesn't matter if it's alive or it's functioning, as long as it's when I said functioning, I meant obviously a robotic artificial intelligence. Now, in artificial intelligence, there is intelligence artificially put there, and therefore that intelligence that's designed in this case obviously Mechagodzilla, the intelligence of the artificial intelligence can indeed be hypnotized to become more dumber, I guess we could say, or more less functional. So therefore I say it could work on Mechagodzilla if we think of it that way. Hopefully I made sense on what I'm trying to, or what my point is. I hope I made sense. Now, next we have waste grenades. Now, very simple. Around his waist, he can shoot out grenades, large grenades, like a grenade launcher, and very powerful ability, and they have caused a pretty big explosion. So it's a great ability. After that, we have strength of pure steel. So as we know, he is made of steel. He is a robotic Kong, and he has big arms, and he can punch and ram into his opponents from his giant, strong, robotic body. And that's what that's based off of. Finally, we have the laser beam eyes. Basically, he has laser beams from his eyes as he shoots. I could compare it to, let's say for example, Shin Godzilla, where he has lasers that shoot from his eyes. Basically, as I said, normal laser beam shoots from his eyes. He can cut through steel, metal, and through flesh, indeed. So, this sums up both of these kaijus. So, we're ready for what we've all been waiting for, and that is the death battle. Now, before we begin, let me give the rules and regulations so we know what we're dealing with here. We're gonna rate these two kaijus out of 2, or I should say best out of 2. One would be a far range battle, close range battle. So, the question you might have is, what's the point of a far range battle? And personally, I think it's the most important one of the two, and let me say why. Far range tests these opponents out with limited abilities. So there are some abilities that an opponent can't use from far range, or can use but it's not effective, is what my point is. So we're trying to see, if we were to take away some abilities from his opponent's way, would they still be able to win a battle? And it's a very great way to test his opponent out. So we're going to do far range first, and these opponents cannot come closer than 700 meters apart, meaning they have to stay 700 meters apart, cannot come closer than that. So, in terms of far range, let's see what abilities Ready Player One Mechagodzilla can or cannot use. So first, we have the Blue Ray. Now, the Blue Ray is definitely a great ability, but in no way, shape, or form is that ray in reality going to travel 700 meters. So it's basically unfunctionable. Physical combat, well, remember, they can't touch each other because they're 700 meters apart, so physical combat is not even worth a penny here. So no. And finally we have the finger missiles, and yes, the missiles will travel 700 meters. So he can basically only use the finger missiles as his ability in far range. Now, let's go to Mechani Kong. Now, first we have, as I said, we're doing Mechani Kong. Hypnosis light from head, that will not travel 700 meters, so he cannot use Hypnosis. Waste grenades will indeed travel that far. Strength of pure steel, who cares? He can't touch the opponent, he can't touch Mechagodzilla, so it's basically useless, so no. And laser beam eyes will indeed work, for they're made to go far distances, and they will work. So, basically, out of all of this, the only thing he can use, or the only two things he can use is the waste grenades and the laser beam eyes. So, in terms of far range, what we know now, these two kaijus can only do very limited things. So starting off from the main one, Mechagodzilla can definitely use his finger missiles, but is that enough? This is the question. Is it enough to defeat Mechani Kong? Because Mechani Kong in this instance definitely can use his laser beam eyes and his waste grenades. Now, going back to Mechagodzilla, and I believe that Mechagodzilla will be the first one to attack, what I think is going to happen in this case is the finger missiles are going to be almost non-effective, and let me explain why. It's 700 meters apart, and the finger missiles generally just aren't that big anyways. So, at one point in this whole journey of traveling 700 meters, they're gonna get slower. The rate of impact is not gonna be as strong on Mechani Kong, so that's gonna cause a lack of damage. Now, vice versa, Mechani Kong has his waste grenades. Now, personally, I believe that the waste grenades will travel faster and will have a larger impact because of how bigger they are. Personally, that's what I believe, that they're gonna cause more damage because of their size. And I believe the size is gonna cause a stronger push out, which indeed is gonna cause some effect on Mechagodzilla. With that being said, he can also hit him with the laser beam eyes and potentially cutting off parts of the robotic body. Therefore, I personally believe Mechani Kong is going to win this one, in making it 1-0 for far range. Now, close range is a whole different ball game. Let's take this into consideration first. Mechagodzilla 2018 is 30 meters tall. Mechani Kong is 20 meters tall, so not a big difference, but definitely there is some difference, where Mechagodzilla 2018, or as I said, Ready Player One Mechagodzilla, is a bit bigger and has the better reach and better size difference. However, when they go face to face, Mechani Kong is very easily going to use the Hypnosis light from the head. And I explained why this will work, and let me explain one more time. Mechagodzilla is designed with artificial intelligence, meaning there is intelligence put inside of him artificially, meaning that intelligence can be corrupted. With the Hypnosis light, the intelligence that's artificially put inside Mechagodzilla can be corrupted to dysfunctionally work by the Hypnosis light from head. And when he uses that, basically Mechagodzilla is going to go haywire and he's gonna start dysfunctioning and just shooting his missiles everywhere, and his Blu-ray is gonna be blasting out, and he is going to outcharge himself, basically overwork himself, overheat himself, and all Mechani Kong has to do in this case is just shoot him with the laser beam eyes, or even use the waste grenades. And if that doesn't finish him off, just ram into him with his large arms, and it'll just overheat and break. Very short one, but that's the only outcome I see, making it 2-0 for Mechani Kong. Obviously, this is just my opinion. You can debate me in the comment section below. So as I said, 2-0, Mechani Kong is the winner. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, please consider subscribing. And as always, have a wonderful, great day, and Merry Christmas to everyone.